We're talking about, what's the difference between young people, the 14, 15-year-olds, as opposed to even a 16, 17-year-old, it's a big difference, but, we're really trying to, hold them accountable, but at the same time realizing that, there are some, cognitive, things going on that, sometimes, young people don't really understand, what they're getting themselves involved in.
As a teenager growing up with a single mother struggling to support the family and dark influences constantly surrounding him, Daniel Mendoza Jacobo turned to the gang life where many young men his age sought refuge.
So, at 14 years old, I was living in a very unstable home where, my parents, were in the middle of a divorce. A part of that, too, with, a social environment where, there's crime, there's delinquency, right? There's violence, there's gang violence. Ahí está. No te los quites, okay?
For Mendoza, that time came when he turned 14 and joined a group of men and boys who beat a man to death over gang turf.
The circumstances around my crime really involved, a bunch of my friends and I were involved in a physical incident that ended in the result of somebody dying. Somebody got stabbed. And, I was a part of that.
But with the help of counselors and probation officers who embraced him and guided him, Mendoza was released early after earning his high school diploma while in jail in Santa Cruz County Juvenile Hall. He is now set to graduate with a double major from UC Davis.
Like, what was the turning point, or what happened that made you kind of, like, change your mind and change your ways? And, I like to answer that. It's like, I just got older, to be honest. I would say that I would not be here if it wasn't for, a very couple people who strategically and intentionally and compassionately helped me out when I was incarcerated, right? Who kind of exposed me to different things, education, college, something that, growing up I never thought I was going to be doing. But, now I find myself, as a senior at UC Davis.
Mendoza holds himself up as an example of the potential that can be reached by sparing violent teenage offenders from lifelong imprisonment, as Governor Jerry Brown decides on whether to sign Senate Bill 1391, which passed through the legislature last month and would bar 14 and 15-year-olds from being prosecuted as adults. Opponents of SB 1391 say the criminal justice system shouldn't cut off an avenue to hold accountable the most heinous criminals in the state, regardless of age. The governor has until the end of the week to decide whether to sign SB 1391. In the meantime, Mendoza plans to continue his work to end the routine practice of juvenile incarceration and help young offenders reclaim their lives.
I've been doing juvenile justice work, youth justice work, social justice work, activism since since I got out, So upon graduation, I want to continue that. But at the same time, I also want to work with young people who are, like, currently, re-entering society again, or even those currently incarcerated.